Okay, so returning to reality therapy. We just finished talking about the car metaphor. Now, in terms of these 4 different behaviors, one of the ways that Glasser tries to have clients, when they come in for therapy, start looking at their life using the concept of choice with this concept of total behavior, is to start thinking about the way they think of things and thinking about the way they actually use language to help them recognize the responsibility is on them for changing their misery to become a better life or become a more meaningful experience or something like that, such that he sees things which most of us have come to believe as nouns or DSM-4 diagnosable disorders, depressed and anxious. He sees them as action verbs. So a reality therapist might use the term depressing or anxietying. And what this means is that the behavior you are engaging in is depressing. People who are depressing often will be doing, their doing behavior often looks like, they spend a lot of time sort of not doing much, lying around in bed, lying around on the couch. They may be kind of slumped over, they may have poor eye contact, they may have low affect on their face. Their thinking behavior, as we talk about in cognitive, their thinking behavior is often very negative. So if you look at someone who is depressed or depressing, and you just did a thought sample, very often it's, I'm no good, I'm a rotten person, life is never going to get better, everything is wrong. It's very depressive kind of thinking. Well, Glasser says if you're spending a lot of time, lying around in bed, thinking negative, awful, self-punitive thoughts of yourself and others, what a surprise that your feelings are miserable. It kind of makes sense. If you ask someone, go home, lie in bed for a week and think of all the awful things about your own life and the life of others around you that you can, most of us might start feeling pretty poorly. And then he talks about physiologically, it makes sense, just as it makes sense if I go running for my pulse to go up and my blood pressure to go up and myself to get a little bit sweaty and my skin to turn red. It makes sense if I'm lying in bed thinking awful thoughts, feeling sad and depressed, that my biology, my brain, may change and may produce different chemistry. So that's how he explains a lot of what others will call mental illness. He uses his total behavior model for it. Now this is one of the aspects of reality therapy that sticks in people's, they sort of, Glasser has some good ideas, but. And generally speaking, the but is this whole idea of mental health / mental illness being total behavior, and many people got very upset about the idea that you may be choosing to depress, or choosing to anxiety, or choosing to PTSD, or something along those lines. What I ask you to do as you're reading the chapter and thinking about this is to just think about this idea. Again, remember, Glasser isn't saying that there's not different brain behavior, there's not different biochemistry associated with depressing. He's simply saying, perhaps these came first and this came later. When you do a static research study where you know that brains or neurotransmitters of someone who is depressing or depressed are different from people who are not, that's not a picture of what came first. That's just a picture of this is different. So the science could be interpreted either way in that respect. My own personal belief is that sometimes probably people's biology, due to genetics, due to whatever, becomes depressive, and consequently it changes people's doing and thinking. I also think that sometimes people have doing and thinking which may be brought about by extreme life stress, loss, grief, or something like that, which does lead to thinking and physiology. But it's just kind of a different way of looking at things that Glasser presents. And particularly, I think, in this day and age where everything seems to be biological and, Zoloft, Prozac, Paxil driven, it's kind of a refreshing way of looking at things that explains probably at least some of mental health, if not fully 100% of it. Within the context of this model, if we move this into, so what do you do when a client comes in to your office? Again, this is action-oriented, present day. There's a heavy emphasis on one's relationship with the client. And in some of the earlier writings on reality therapy, the term that was used was involvement. Involvement was the sense of connection you have with the client. The reality therapists see your relationship with the client is quite different from where they moved out of, which was psychoanalysis, where there was a transference relationship that sort of took a lot of time and energy and thought in the treatment. The relationship in reality therapy is seen as a relationship between two individuals. It is a real relationship, not a transference projection relationship. But Glasser and Wobelding both talk about, and talked in the early days as well, about the idea that you need to have a good connection with your client, and it's out of that that people can learn new behaviors and have their needs be better met and so forth. There's a model which makes the acronym WADEP, which is not the best acronym on planet Earth because it doesn't make some cool thing in your brain, it doesn't make a regular word that makes sense. But the WADEP model is sort of the model of doing, of reality therapy. And the W stands for wanting, the D for doing, the E for evaluating, and the P for planning. And what you would want to do when a client comes in is the first thing you'll do once they sort of come in and tell you what brings them there and so forth. Once you actually start doing the work of treatment, you talk with a person about what is it that you want? What do you want out of therapy? What would you like to see in your life? What would you like your life to look like? And reality therapists help clients develop what in some places is called a picture album, in other places is called a quality world. And what these are is these are sort of images or pictures or thoughts or ideas that the client has on, this is what I would like my life to be like. And you can actually, if you're working with clients, particularly if you're working with kid clients who like tangible things, you can have them create pictures, collages, photo albums, whatever, that would be their picture album or quality world. So your quality world is comprised of the people in your life who you would like to have connections with. It's created of the sort of things in your life, if they're material things. You know, it's important to me to have a vehicle so that I can get to and from work. It's important for me to have a tennis court in my backyard. Whatever people think materially are things which are important to them. It has to do with the things you would like to be doing in your life. I would like to have a job where I work with people. I would like a job where I have autonomy over my time. I would like to be able to travel. What are the things that you would like to do in your life? It's comprised of the values. I believe it's important to be of service to people in need. So that might be someone who would choose to become a pastor, be a social worker, or be a missionary, or something like that. Somebody else might say it's important for me to work with, creating and producing things. They might choose to go into engineering, or choose to go into construction, or something along those lines. But your quality world is kind of the people and the things and the ideas and the values and the thoughts and so forth that you want to be sure to incorporate into your life. So when clients come in and you do the wanting, you explore with them, what is it that you want in your life? Now, if you have a nice self-referred client who comes in and they're, motivated for therapy, that may be easier. Sometimes, of course, the client comes in and he or she really doesn't want to be there, My teacher made me come, my parents said it was a good idea. Or, well, I got my second DUI and the state said it was you or jail, so I really don't want to be here, but it looked better than jail. First of all, you want to point out to those folks that it is their choice to be here. Again, putting responsibility on people for you have choices of what to do in your life. And then if people, what do you want out of therapy? I don't want anything out of therapy. Well, you're here for some reason. I want to get the cord off my back. I want my teachers to stop bugging me. I want my parents to leave me alone. Okay, you've got a little bit of a want. Can you flesh that picture out? Can you make it more detailed and more specific? So that's the wants. You then ask people, what are you doing right now? in order to help meet your needs. So if somebody says, well, if somebody says, what do you want? I want my parents off my back. Well, what are you doing about that? Well, I'm spending all my time in my room with music turned up real loud. Does that keep your parents off your back? Well, for a while, but then they come up and they pound on the door and they say, turn that music down. Are you studying? I hate studying. What do your parents do when you don't study? They nag, they prod, they cajole. So when you ask people what are they doing in light of what do they want, you then start working on evaluating. How well, if you say what you want is this, I want to graduate from high school, what are you doing to bring about that end? I'm sitting in my room, getting stoned, hanging out with my friends, and never doing homework. Is what you're doing getting you what you say you want? Well, probably not. Or perhaps I want to graduate from high school. What are you doing? Well, I'm studying really hard and I'm getting A's and B's in my classes and I go to school every day and I pay a lot of attention. Okay, what you're doing is probably getting you what you want there. Is there another area of your life, another want that you're not perhaps getting your needs met as well on right now? And then plan. Let's come up with a plan. So if sitting in your room, hanging out with your friends, stoned and avoiding all of your classwork and homework is not getting you a high school diploma, let's come up with a plan. What might get you a high school diploma? What would be something which would work better? When you come up with a plan, you want your plan to be as simple as possible. Now, obviously, not all plans can be really simple, but a simple plan works better than a complicated plan. You want it to be attainable. If you're working with a kid whose parents have been divorced for years, or who's never seen his or her father, and what they want for their plan is for daddy to come home and move in with mom, that may not be an attainable plan, and it's certainly not one within the child's control. So something which people can attain, and oftentimes in the fairly short future, but we'll get to that. So you want it to be simple, you want it to be attainable. Ideally, you would like it to be measurable. So that's something you can either see or not see. So you want a plan that I can see the results. I can see that I used to be getting all F's and now I'm getting C's. That's something you can't see. You would prefer it to be fairly immediate, long range plans that you make for 5 years from now are really hard to stick with until you break them down into, and this is what I'm going to do this week, and this is what I'll do next week, and this is what I'll do the following week. So come up with a plan which is short term, which people can work on. And the last thing you want is you want the plan to be committed to. You want the client to say, and I'm going to do it. Clients will often make a level of commitment such that they'll say, I'll try. Reality therapists really like it when clients don't just try to make their plan, but they commit, I will do it. Because if you try to do something, I will try to study for half an hour every night. That always means you can come in next week and you can say, well, I tried, but my friends called the first night, and the second night the homework was really boring, and the third night there was something good on TV, etc. So ideally you want a committed to plan. I will study 30 minutes every night. And how are we going to do that? So you may come up with, I have a place in my bedroom, and at 6:30 every night before dinner, I'm going to sit down for half an hour and read one particular subject. So this goes by the acronym ASAMIC plan. And pretty much the work, the doing of reality therapy is having clients come in and talk about what are they wanting, what are they doing. They'll evaluate, is it working? If it's not working, can they come up with a plan to do better? And then going back, how is this working? Is there something else you can do? And kind of crafting those different ideas week after week after week, until clients hopefully, A, will have their life on a more meaningful track, and B, will start noticing some real changes in the quality of their life and develop these tools that they can use on their own. And all of this kind of in the context of remembering that you can only control yourself. So if you have parents who are wanting to make their kids do something, or a wife who wants to make her husband be more helpful around the house, or a husband who wants to make his wife have sex more times a week, you can't make other people do something. You can only give them choices. And so if the wife wants to make her husband be more helpful around the house, what can she do to change her behavior, to influence him? So if she wants my husband to be more helpful, well, she can't control him. She can only control her. What is she doing? Well, right now she's snipping and sniping and giving him grouchy looks and ignoring him and being sure to avoid all signs of affection. Is this working? Is this having him increase his housework duty? In most cases, this will not. It will have the opposite effect where he will withdraw from her rather than move closer to her and want to be helpful. If that's not helping, can she come up with a plan to do something better? Now, that doesn't mean she's going to like the plan. The plan may be that she goes home and works on improving that relationship with her husband. She may be fuming on the inside. But if she wants to bring about a closer relationship, so perhaps the end goal is to have more influence over her husband, but she wants to have a closer relationship, she needs to change her doing behavior to something which is going to bring them closer instead of this, diabolical, scary, awful, witchy wife who comes home and all he wants to do is disappear downstairs into his study and either turn on his computer, read the newspaper, or watch television, but stay away from her. She needs to go home and work on having the relationship become closer. She may need to try to change some of her thinking behavior to help her do this doing behavior. That may change her feelings and her physiology, and it all may, or it may not, influence her husband's reaction. If it doesn't, such is life. Again, you can only control yourself. And that's the point which is pushed home. But at least if she's choosing different doing, different thinking, maybe she's not quite so miserable, or maybe she chooses this isn't working for me. But she can change herself, he can change himself. The same with trying to change kids. All people can do is try to change themselves, their relationship, and then hopefully that will happen. And this is kind of the essence of the doing. That is kind of the essence of what I will cover in Reality2.